What is up, you beautiful happy hustlers out there? Kerry Jack here, and I hope that you are having an amazing day. Just enjoying this very moment right here and right now, baby. And in this solo episode of the Happy Hustle podcast, we are talking about a recent life lesson that I personally learned, which is slow down or risk getting hurt. And I'll just tell you straight up, if you're watching the video version of this episode, you will notice that I am in a neck brace. And it's pretty uncomfortable. It's definitely kind of funny looking, but I injured myself snowboarding. And I'm going to share the story and the life lesson regarding it and how it actually applies to you in this episode. I'll tell you, this lesson is not one in which it's, easy to learn. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way, as I did, but it is a very valuable lesson. And I'm going to share with you more details and how you can apply it to your life and how then maybe you can mitigate some pain or hurt or angst in your life by just learning from this lesson. So it's going to be a power packed episode. Stick with me to the end, and we'll have a little something for you. All right, y'all. After a quick episode sponsor break, we are diving into this episode of the Happy Hustle podcast. Real quick, y'all, I just want to give a massive shout out to Magnesium Breakthrough, who's making the best magnesium supplements on the market. If you are looking to get an all-around go-to supplement, not only to decrease your cortisol levels, those stress hormones in your body, but also increase just your overall immune system and its functionality, while basically getting better REM sleep, this is your go-to. I take 2 of these before every night, before going to bed every night, and it's really been noticeable, the positive effects, because 3 out of every 4 people are actually deficient in magnesium. So you guys get the hookup. You can go to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/hustle, save yourself some moolah, and get that hookup. And it comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee. So you got nothing to lose and everything to gain. All right, y'all, back to this episode. All right, we are back with this solo episode of the Happy Hustle podcast. And we're talking about a life lesson, which is slowing down or risk getting hurt. Now, I'll give you a little context. Recently, the universe wanted me to slow down, okay? And I didn't know it necessarily at the time, but now I know it because as I sit here recording this, I'm in some pain. I have a couple injuries that I incurred while I was ripping down the mountain this past weekend, snowboarding on my new snowboard. And yeah, now I'm bedridden and I have to get an MRI tomorrow and see if I potentially broke my neck. So I'll share with you what happened, and then I'll share with you how it applies. Essentially what happened was I got a new snowboard. My cousin hooked it up. I got new bindings and new boots. It's a setup that I wasn't used to. And sometimes in life, when you change things up, there's some learning curves that are necessary. Specifically with snowboarding, I was used to my stance. I was used to my board and how it gripped the snow and the ice. And this new board, it was stiff. It didn't flex as much. Anyway, I'm ripping down. I've been maybe out for a half day so far on Saturday. And I was, tearing up a face of a pretty steep drop. And it was almost like, those memes where they show just someone running and then they just trip and then they say, sniper. That's kind of what it was like. I was ripping quite fast. I love to go fast and I like to go through the trees. Thankfully, I wasn't in the trees for this occurrence. I was more on an open run. But basically, a sniper got me. I was going toe side and then boom, heel side sniper. I ate shit. I caught a heel edge, which means I went heel side to go on a snowboard. If you never snowboard, there's a toe side and a heel side, and that's how you control your speed. So I was going to control my speed on the hillside and I caught an icy edge. And mind you, this day was not a very good day for snowboarding conditions. It was very icy, it was very cold. And the day prior, it was very warm. So all the snow melted. It got super frozen due to the cold weather the following day, thus causing this very icy conditions. Anyway, moral of the story, I busted my ass. I went basically head down the mountain in the air, probably about 3, 4 feet up in the air, and landed on my spine, head down the mountain, and then whiplashed my neck into the snow, cracking my helmet in the back of my head on the hard snow, and then slid down the mountain, another 50, 60 feet. I was definitely rocked. I was dazed, but I didn't feel like, too bad. I heard a couple cracks, like, my body just on the impact of this concrete like snow. And, I shook it off and I got up and I went down to the base of the mountain. I went actually to the beer stube and got a pint of Heffenweisen, I believe. And, I just relaxed. I kind of took it all in because I knew I wasn't like 100% right. I thought maybe I got a little concussion. Anyway, I drank the beer. I went up for another run or two. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I figured, hey, I'm going to get back on the proverbial horse. And turns out I got home that night. Steph ran me a bath with Epsom salt. I was feeling pretty sore. My neck was really stiff. My back was really sore, and I felt like I might have cracked a rib or two. And then Monday, I just relaxed and worked from home. Didn't do much. I did a light workout, but I definitely shouldn't have. I know I shouldn't have, but I just wanted to move a little bit to loosen things up. And then Tuesday, I got an x-ray, and it revealed that I potentially fractured my C1 and C2 vertebrae, which is this, it's called the Dons bone, and it sits on top of your spinal cord, and this is what allows your head to pivot left and right. It's the very top bone in your spine. That and the one below it, the C2, looked like it's potentially fractured. So that was a little bit of a shock. I was like, oh, damn, I didn't know I, cracked my neck and potentially fractured my body to the point of maybe I could be paralyzed for life. Because with a spinal injury, it's very, it's very common to be, I guess you would say, paraplegic as a result. They apparently, I don't know the exact statistic, but 3% of all spinal injuries actually end up walking away from those injuries. Most people who have a really severe spine injury, they don't usually walk. Well, I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm recording this episode, and I feel okay. I mean, my neck's stiff, but I have to go get an MRI actually tomorrow at the day of this recording to really determine the full diagnosis and if I did fracture the C1 and C2. Fortunately, it looks like from the x-rays that I potentially fractured it, but it's in the proper place, so I don't need neck surgery, and it didn't penetrate the spinal cord, which would have caused me to be paralyzed. So it's really good news. I feel very blessed. I'm very grateful to God for this lesson, but also just that it could have been a lot worse. Now, how does this apply to you? Okay, I'm going to share with you how this applies to you, because the fact that sometimes in life we get signs from, call it the universe, call it God, call it the divine, Heavenly Father, whatever you want to call it. We get signs. There's signs to slow down. There's signs that maybe your path is unsustainable. There's signs that you're misaligned. Okay, this was a sign for me, because prior to this, I was going pretty hard. I have, I'm working out every day. I got my karate, my soccer, my, snowboarding, fishing, all these hobbies, plus my work, plus my relationship, all these things. And, the universe wanted me to slow down. I didn't realize that I had a lesson prior to this that wanted me to slow down as well. Um, Basically, I overdosed on an iodine nasal flush, which is said to do 10 drops or 1 drop, and I did basically the whole dropper, thus poisoning myself just, a couple weeks prior. And I was like bedridden for the whole day and violently throwing up for like, 7 hours. That was another sign for me to slow down. I made a mistake. I thought, oh, I felt like a little cold coming on. One of the protocols, is to do a nasal flush with a little bit of iodine, and it kills any bacteria in your nasal passages. This isn't, this is science. It's a documented procedure, but I did it improperly. So there was another sign for me to slow down. Now looking back, I can see it more clearly. But the question that I have to you is, where in your life do you need to slow down or potentially risk getting hurt if you don't? And I want you to think about that. Think about right now where you've been going hard, where you've potentially neglected signs that the universe asked you to slow down. Think about with your business. Have you been working like a dog? Have you been grinding? Not necessarily happy hustling, but grinding. And maybe you'll risk getting hurt by burning out. I burn out. That's kind of what sent me on this whole journey to start the happy hustle. Was I burnt out as an entrepreneur. I was working like a dog, 100+ hour weeks and getting less than 5 hours of sleep. And I couldn't do it anymore. It was unsustainable. Maybe you are in need of slowing down with your workouts. Maybe you've been pushing it too hard. Maybe you've been, so strict with your diet and with your exercise routine that your body is craving some rest. It's craving some recovery. And you could be risking hurting your body, permanent damage, if you don't slow down. If you don't take some time to recharge and rejuvenate yourself. Maybe you need to slow down in your relationship, right? Maybe you've been so focused on other things in your life that you potentially have neglected your relationship. Not just with your significant other, but maybe your relationship with your family, your inner circle. The goal is to just bring to your awareness where you potentially need to slow down, where you may be, in need of a break, in need of some rejuvenation, or in need of some rest. And, for me, my body is definitely in need of a rest. It's in some pain. I'll be honest. I'm in some pain. It's calling for me to not go to my Ishinuru karate class tonight. It's calling me for not playing a soccer tournament that I had scheduled next week. It's calling for me not to go shred the fresh powder that just, we got dumped on here in Montana. It's calling for me to not go work out every day and go, to the hot springs and do my hot and cold thermogenesis. It's probably calling for me to keep that part of my routine up, the hot and the cold therapy, because that's really helpful, especially with inflammation. But these other components of my life, my body's needing a break. So I got to slow down. I got to listen, or else I'm in, great danger of really injuring myself. This neck injury could be far worse. And, you with your business, if you don't slow down now, you could potentially put yourself in a greater danger of maybe risking it all. If you, take a couple of days off rather than, burning out and needing to take a couple months off, think of the difference that those two consequences would have on your life with your health. Maybe, if you're pushing so hard and you don't slow down, you don't heed the universe's message, right? Getting a little woo-woo on you, but if you don't heed the message of slowing down with your body and you've been working out so much, Maybe, you injure yourself, you pull a muscle, and it puts you out for a week or weeks or 6 months or a year. When I tore my ACL playing soccer, I was pushing hard. That injury put me out for over a year, right? So it's like sometimes if you just slow down and take just a smaller break, you can avoid just this massive blow up with your relationship. Think about that. If you're not, focused on your relationship, you're not giving it sufficient time and energy and presence, rather than just getting clear on what's required in your relationship, that time, that attention, that energy, that love. Maybe you've been just allocating your time elsewhere, and you know that your partner is craving more from you. Well, if you don't give it to them, maybe you lose them, maybe that's the worst case scenario. It's just something to think about. This is a life lesson that is like happening to me right now, and I just wanted to talk to you about it because this podcast is all about growth, personal growth, self-improvement, really just happy hustling a life that you love, one full of that blissful balance in your personal life and your professional life. And it's all about just learning from mistakes. It's all about evolution and growth, in many different areas of life. And this is just a life lesson that I think is quite universal. There's seasons in our life where we must slow down and where we must recharge, rejuvenate, and heal. And, I'm praying that this isn't, a fracture, that this was just, maybe it was just a shadow on the x-ray and, that we're all good to go. But, I realize that everything happens for a reason, or at least I believe that. And, I'll persevere past the adversity and learn from it and become stronger forward, right? That's where we can choose to look at adversity from that lens of, oh, why is this happening to me? As opposed to, well, why is this happening for me? Right? You can just change your perspective in any given moment with any given adversity. And you can learn from it and you can use it to grow. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And I hope you do the same. We're all happy hustling out here, just doing our best to live that life of passion and purpose and positive impact. And, I just wanted to share this message with you, this life lesson of just slowing down right now in whatever capacity you need to slow down in, so you don't risk hurting yourself or those around you or the things you care about. Because oftentimes life requires a break. We need to slow down. We need to reflect. We need to take that time, and then we can come back with newfound perspective and newfound knowledge and newfound strength. So that is the message, y'all. I hope that you got some value from this. Share it with a friend who maybe needs to slow down, maybe someone who's been burning the candle at both ends, or been going, and, maybe needs to hear this. That's how we continue to share this message, with more and more people, and continue to just raise the collective vibration in this world. I really think it's important that we just spread the message, if it resonated with us, that we can give to others, that similar positive impact, because you are who you associate with, right? And when you are passing along good content or positive messages, not just the Happy Hustle podcast. This isn't like a shameless promotional pitch here. I'm just saying, in terms of anything that's positively impacted you, think about how you can positively impact others with it, and that's really just how we raise that collective vibration, man. So anyway, that it is what it is, y'all. Carrying the neck brace, signing off. Peace and love, y'all. I'm out. And one more thing, guys. I just want to let you know that if you haven't already gotten the book, The Happy Hustle, 10 Alignments to Avoid Burnout and Achieve Blissful Balance, It's actually available right now for free. All you got to do is go to thehappyhustlebook.com, and there you can just, put your information in and help out with shipping and handling, and we'll send it right to your door. And on that second page of the opt-in, you'll see there's an option where you can get the audiobook. And I actually recorded a whole 8 hours. I think it came down to about 6.5 hours of the book, but it took me a while, with the editing, the mistakes, etc., to put this book together. And it's full of, exclusive interjections, and I have some fun with the audiobook. So if you like the podcast and you want to hear, me narrate the book for you, you can actually get the audiobook version in addition to the hard copy version. It's now available on Audible as well. If you just want to get the audiobook version, you could just type in The Happy Hustle by Carrie Jack on Audible and it'll pop up. But if you do want to get the hard copy for free and the discounted version of the audiobook and a couple master classes that I put together, you can go to thehappyhustlebook.com and it's all there. So I hope you guys check it out because I put a lot of time and energy into it, and it's really going to make a positive impact on your life if you take it and actually consume it and then apply it. So check it out again, thehappyhustlebook.com. All right, y'all. Thanks again. I'm out. Peace.